the NFL draft. It's a great time of year. Love it. I'll be on the draft show later this morning with the good folks at DallasCowboys.com. Last year, there was a lot of, it feels like every year, other than the CeeDee Lamb draft, doesn't it feel like every year fans come away from it complaining about it? I feel like. Yeah. And most of the time, it's been wrong. So far.
Unless we would have drafted Manziel. I'll never forget that moment. You and I were doing the show.
We were in at the stadium.
At the stadium
doing that,
The build-up, you could feel the electricity. Then the huge let down with Zach Martin, which I think Manziel told Shannon Sharp on the podcast yesterday. Thank God I didn't get drafted here because all the disappointment it would have led to.
It'd have been, you think it was an S show in Cleveland. Imagine what it is here.
Well, but we're wrong. We're wrong about the excitement of the picks. We all we got the next Dion and Mo Claiborne.
Oh, yeah. Traded up for him.
Right. Travis Frederick, you reached. Zach Martin, boring.
Tyler Smith, you shouldn't have picked him until the third round.
Tyler
what are you
Smith,
doing?
Never heard of him until draft day. You know, we're wrong when you pick a lineman. CeeDee Lamb, everyone lost their minds, and that hit.
Excited about Zeke. He was awful. So, I mean, there's always, it's a miss. But so far, some of the outrage last year maybe warranted. So NFL.com did all right, we're done with the first season. Now let's take a look back and let's grade how the rookie classes look after the first year. So we'll have to jump down a little bit to see the Dallas Cowboys. The number one rookie class in the NFL. You know who it is?
Detroit.
No. Think about two super studs that helped carry a team to the playoffs that had no business getting to the playoffs.
Oh, Houston
Texans, the
They gave them the number one
draft.
I
mean, you get C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson, and then Tank Dell was playing really great up until he got hurt.
Was Will Anderson worth the hype?
Yeah, Will Anderson was dominant this year. Like there were stretches of games where he legitimately took over and wrecked shop for Houston. So he was absolutely. Now are they going to say, was it worth giving up all that draft capital? Who knows? But in terms of impact immediately as a rookie player, yeah, he was great. And pass rushers don't always have that kind of impact immediately out of the gate.
I mean, people may look at Detroit's the same way in a couple of years, like Gibbs in the first round. That's not like usually what you do now. So it was great this year, but how's that going to look in 5 years?
Will Anderson had 7 sacks.
Yeah.
7 sacks in 15 games.
Yeah, but he was constantly generating pressure, impacted the run game in a big way. You guys mentioned the Detroit Lions. They were number 4 on this list, behind the Rams at 3, who obviously got the big value of Puka Nacua. They also, I think they had a pass rusher in there that like really impacted things for them. And then the number 2 team was the Pittsburgh Steelers, actually, with Broderick Jones at tackle and Joey Porter. So Detroit Lions get number 4 there. The Packers number 5. You scroll down a little bit. You have to go down a little ways because you remember everyone was freaking out on draft night about which team. Were they like, what a disaster. This is just awful for the Dallas Cowboys. This is just a tragedy.
Oh, yeah. The Eagles as usual.
Philadelphia Eagles. Oh, my gosh. Howie does it again. Howie's a magician.
Yeah.
Howie got the 19th ranked draft class in the NFL. Wow. So 19th. And they, of course, took Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith in the first round. They had a couple other, they didn't have a second round pick. But this was the write-up. It said nearly all of the Eagles' rookie production came on the defensive side of the ball, led by Carter, whom they landed in a draft day trade-up with the Bears. Carter, by the way, you remember when we were playing Philly Freakout at the end of the year? They consistently kept saying, Carter's hit a wall, Carter's hit a wall. He's not making an impact anymore. Carter's hit a wall. And so they started getting uneasy about that. But it writes
not in his car.
No.
On the field.
You saw the Philly Freakout.
It says they talk about that. He made an impact early. Despite starting only one game, he racked up 6 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and 1 fumble recovery, which he ran back for a touchdown. Elite get-off traits. It's all there. It's all really encouraging. And with Vic Fangio stepping in, that's great. But when you look at the other picks, Nolan Smith turned into be kind of a bit player. He wasn't somebody who they could consistently count on to do a lot of different things for them. They had Sidney Brown, the safety. They said that after a hamstring injury and before he suffered a season-ending torn ACL, he was opening some eyes, but obviously he had the injury. That made things a little bit disappointing for them. They were counting on him. Tyler Steen was the one offensive rookie for them, the offensive lineman who played. He was almost all his snaps came in week 9 against the Cowboys. He struggled really bad that day. So they're kind of coming away from this so far going, okay, Carter hit a wall. He was really impressive, but outside of that, We had injuries to our guys. We had Nolan Smith largely being disappointing. Our one offensive player was a bust in the one game he played. So a little bit of a disappointing showing. But
oh, wait. Yeah.
There's still 11 spots ahead of the Dallas Cowboys, who come in at number 30.
Dang!
That's not
out
a
of
good
32
one.
teams. Now, what's interesting, if you look one spot ahead of them, number 29 is the San Francisco 49ers. So, but at 30, the Dallas Cowboys, who obviously Mazi Smith didn't pan out the way people wanted. Luke Schoonmaker, guy who had a bit of a learning curve, didn't have the impact that you wanted. That was also compounded by the fact that Jake Ferguson really stepped up. DeMarvion Overshown tore the ACL. You had Junior Fehoko, their 4th-round pick, not really making an impact. So a lot of guys who disappointed let you down. But this was the write-up from them. It said the Cowboys had a pretty strong season. Their rookies' contributions were extremely limited. Among their 8 draft picks, only 5 saw the field. Although a handful of undrafted players did help the group give the group of first-year pros and Dallas boost. I know. They had Brandon Aubrey, obviously. TJ Bass was a guy who made an impact at times for them this year. Mazi Smith was one of the main year one contributors, although he started just 3 games and ranked 4th among Dallas's defensive tackles and snaps. I didn't realize he was that low on the snap list, was 4th, because he was generally getting 33% of snaps a game, something like that. It said asked to play more 3 technique than nose tackle. Smith showed greater impact later in the regular season. Even so, he logged just 4 snaps in the playoff loss to the Green Bay Packers. No other rookie made an impact on defense. Overshown could be a long-term replacement for Leighton Vander Esch, but he suffered a torn ACL, and his first season ended up being a wash. Now, when we look at the Cowboys and their draft class, and we're all kind of disappointed with what the output was the first year.
Very.
Is it too late? Like, do you view it as unsalvageable? Do you think it is like, or do you think there should be more patience? Because I think when we look back at like 2019, when there's concerns about Tristan Hill right out of the gate, and why isn't this a contribution?
Taco.
Some of these years where there's been concern about the output early, it's maintained. It's not been so much like, oh, look, the guy just needed 2 to 3 years to blossom. So do we feel like Mazi Smith's just got to learn to maintain his weight? Luke Schoonmaker, he's got to be healthy to start training camp.
Look, man, I'm not going to judge it after 1 year. Unless a scout is going to text or tell me that Mazi Smith is just never... Unless you're going to tell me that these guys are like Anthony.
He's got no motor.
Anthony Rendon, and they don't care. Like, you started hearing, right, some Rod Marinelli, Tristan Hill things.
Very early.
Very early. Unless you're going to start telling me that stuff in terms of the commitment, yes, it's way, way too early. I'm not going to sit there and say Schoonmaker is never going to be a player here. That sounds very short-sighted and foolish. Unless, again, you tell me that they have Kelvin Joseph-type tendencies behind the scenes, and they're just going to be a dummy.
Yeah, it's because it depends on the position how quickly I'm ready to
bail.
Right? They say the closer to the ball you are, the smoother the transition should be, right?
Yeah.
So from that standpoint, yeah, there's probably a little bit of concern with Mazi.
What's your answer to it?
I'm not ready to give up on Schoonmaker, Mazi, and Overshown. Overshown obviously got hurt. I think he was going to play really well. I'm not ready to give up on the top of the draft class, but I mean, there are concerns there. The problem is all these Michigan guys that are coming, and I don't know what it is that they're being coached there, but all these Michigan defensive linemen are slow off the ball. And when Mazi's slow off the ball, he loses. But like, you look over the history, even the guys that have been good, Rashawn Gary was slow off the ball coming out of Michigan. You know,
why would Michigan want guys who are slow off the ball?
Not necessarily slow off the ball, but like if they're coaching them to do certain things in terms of what they're supposed to read and react to, it may not be a point of emphasis. It may not be something that they're being coached up on the same sort of way that maybe you feel like they need to be. And Mazi's such a freak athlete that it didn't matter nearly as much if he was slow off the ball at college. It matters at the NFL level. I wonder if the Cowboys could do it over again, knowing what they know. Would they still, hey, we're fully in on Mazi Smith, or would they take that offensive lineman they were talking about at Syracuse, Matthew Bergeron?
What type of year did he have?
Started, played 1,100 snaps for the Falcons, was just kind of average, though. PFF grade, which, 59.5. Rookie offensive lineman, just kind of mid.